I've developed this worksheet to help dealers who want to convert their inventory into the inventory tool in live storage. So what we're looking at right now is an Excel spreadsheet that has several pages built into it, but this is the main inventory page. We're going to use a combination of orders and live storage files to help figure out what is on order and what is required. So anything that's on ordered is going to show up in the on ordered column. Anything that is required will show up in the allocated column. We can then take a physical inventory of what is out in our warehouse, and then that will calculate free stock. Free stock would be then the number that we would enter into live storage to show what is available to consume in future jobs. So the first thing we're going to do is look at how to work this worksheet and what's behind it. Like I said, column one or page one is showing you these different columns, and basically all that I've done is copied the parts list out of an order form to go and work this. Then I have another worksheet behind it that's called allocated, and allocated has the same parts list in it, and as you can see here, I've created some lookup formulas that will go through, and it looks up, it gives me the colors, but it's going to look up this particular order and come back and put those quantities in here based on these part numbers. The same thing is true for the on order section. And then the physical inventory right now is not showing anything in it, but here we can go in, just enter a part number, and I have a lookup table in here similar to what we use on the order form that verifies part numbers. Once you enter in a part number in here, it will look up the description, the color, and then you can enter the quantity in this last column here. Then we get into what we're going to do from each order. We're going to rename this later, but from each order we're going to go in, we're going to get a part number. Then from the live storage file we're going to grab what is allocated, and then from the order that was generated we're going to go in and put what's on order. For these examples, I'm going to use 3 orders from Arizona Garage and Closet Design to show how this works. The first thing I need to do is to come up with our allocated file. So I am going to grab this plan, which this plan has both a closet and a garage on it. So I go to my parts list page. I make sure I select all rooms, and instead of using the order form, I'm actually going to export to the parts list. So the parts list is going to open up a type of Excel file called an XML file. First thing I have to do is save it in a location. I'm just going to stick it in Documents. I'm going to create a new folder for this. And then I'm just going to save this. And now it will open up that Excel file. First thing I'm going to want to do is, you can see it's giving me all these items. I am going to copy and paste this into it. Now, hopefully in some of these examples I'll have some parts that are like stop drilled panels. Stop drilled panels, we have to change quantities and delete a few things to make them work out proper. So I can take this, I can copy and then bring up my inventory worksheet file. I'm on order 1. I'm going to go in and paste this, but I want to make sure I paste the values only. I don't want any formulas or anything else coming into here. Then the other thing I want to make sure that I'm doing here is I'm sorting it, and I want to sort it from A to Z so it's all in the same order. The XML file will actually put it all in order. So now I'm working with my allocated. I am going to select a I'm going to select this is the closet components in this, and I'm just going to take this and copy and paste and then go back to my inventory worksheet, and I'm going to paste it into another location and paste the values only. And then in this particular job, because Chris orders closets and garage separately due to the 2 different factories, I am going to grab the garage order and copy and paste. I'm going to copy and paste these right below. And paste, making sure that I'm only getting this. And my first check is to make sure that we have the same number of columns or rows here, that they're both coming up to 40. So I'm going to go back to the top of the page. I'm going to highlight these items, and now I'm going to sort them from A to Z. And now I should have them sorted all the way across, so I can come back in and I'm going to cut this and just move it over into the first allocated, or the on order space, and copy. That didn't work. Cut and then paste. If I want to check whether everything is equal, I can do a quick formula, which is I want to make sure that these part numbers are exactly the same. I can say equal this equals this, and if they do, it's going to come back with true. If it doesn't, it's going to come back with false. And I can just, this little X, I can drag it down and copy it all the way across and see that it's all true. I made a slight mistake here, didn't get that one in there, so I'm gonna cut. You got to make sure this all matches across here, because the formulas are going to reference these things. So if I hadn't moved that one over, that would have made my whole inventory screwed up. So I'm going to go in now and create a named field, and this will help us when we go to the formulas side. This particular customer is Linda Baxley, but I can come up where it reads E40 in the corner. I can highlight that and just type LBAX. I'm just, for these purposes of only putting the first initial, their first name, and then the first 3 letters of their last name to help identify it. So this is now LBAX. If I hit the return key, it's now that area is in here. You can see if I select that, it's highlighting that same area called LBAX. And I'm going to change this from order 1 to L Baxley so I can reference it. When I go to my allocated, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I have a formula up here and you can see I have another name in there, but if I double click on that CDOW and change it to L Bax, and you can see now right here I only have L Bax available. I can hit the tab key, it fills it in, then double click on this again and type the same thing. And when I hit return, it's going to now take, and the way this is set up with the formulas in here, it automatically copied all of this all the way down. So we can now, and I also want to change this column to reflect the customer. And I'm going to name it the same that I did this file down here. Obviously I can't type, so now if I'm looking at this allocated, I can see that I have L Baxley all the way through. I come over to the order, on order, and I'm going to change this column back to L Baxley just so we make that. And if I come back down, I'm going to do the same thing again. If I just type LB, hit the tab key, that fills in the L. I can also just type it all the way out and then hit the return key, and it does the same thing. It automatically fills everything in. I can now come in and filter for the totals. I can filter on the numbers where I'm looking for a number that does not equal 0. So that would, if it has anything in it, and now this should look like the on order column from Linda Baxley's order. If I did the same thing on the allocated, it would look just like that. I'm going to clear the filter so it's all in there. Now if I go to my inventory page, I can look at free stock and I can say the same thing where the free stock does not equal 0. And voila, I can see that I've got 60 allocated, there's 100 on order, and we have a free stock of 940. And I can just continue to do this with however many jobs I have open at this point. See, the important thing to tell a dealer would be you want to have every job that you can have it in inventory. You could have received it. It could be in the warehouse waiting to be installed. The jobs could be on order at the factory. Just so long as it's not installed at the point that they do this, they want to have all these files together. So Arizona Garage is very busy. There was probably 20 orders, 25 orders that we had to work through to get this in, but we were able to go in and get them using the inventory tool. Chris, as of today, put his first 2 orders in and was just ecstatic at how quick this happened. So that was our initial order. If I want to show you how to go in and to put in the next order that we're going to work with, I'm going to come in, I am going to add a new worksheet, and I'm actually going to move that. I'm going to move it to the end. The next file I want to work on is this particular file. Once again, we've got a garage and a closet. And this is a little bit more difficult, just the way AGD orders the product. I can select both rooms. Now the first thing I want to do is make sure that I've got my parts list, all these items. I want to make sure that that's my allocated. I'm going to export the parts list. I'm just going to accept whatever they call it. And you can't see the save button on this screen, but I just saved it, and now it's going to open back up. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to come in. I'm going to copy and paste this. Now, I'm not going to worry about this custom. That's Tucker had drawn a garage floor in there, and that's all that's priced into that job. So I can copy. I go back to my inventory worksheet. This particular customer is Karen Edelin, so I'm going to call this file KEDE. So I'm naming that, so now I can come in and I'm just going to start in A2. I'm going to paste just the values only. I can, just to help us, part number, and this is the allocated column, and then I'm going to do the on order. Now I'm going to grab the order for the garage parts. Copy, go back to my worksheet. Paste the values only. And for that. Looks like I didn't get all my files open that I need to. So now I've opened up the closet parts for this same customer. I'm gonna do the same thing again. Copy, go to my inventory worksheet. And at the bottom of these, I am going to paste special again. And now, hopefully, yep. I am going to sort. And start this again. It's best with this to start from the upper left and then drag down if you're going into the sort of this. Sort from A to Z, otherwise it's going to sort on the quantity, not the part number. So we want to make sure the part numbers are all lined up. I can run my test again, equals this. So I'm saying, do those things, yes, those do equal. I can copy it across. And everything is good, so I can now cut this and paste. So now I have for this particular job, I've got my allocated and ordered, and I can just highlight all those parts again, come back, and move this over to a couple of rows. I just copied everything, and that's not a good idea. And I'm going to name this field again by just highlighting where it reads A2, and so now I'm going to go, that I have those in there again, I'm going to come over and name this other one. This is K. If everything works right, as soon as I hit enter, this is going to create a new column in my row. I can drag this over to copy that formula, and now what it's giving me is it's looking back at that Baxley order. I just change this to K. Edelin. In the wrong file. Got to make sure that you're working there. I was going to change that one. Even if I would have made a mistake there, it's not unrecoverable. I just have to go back through and change those formulas again. And you'll see that once I go in and I place that formula in once, it's going to copy that formula all the way across for the Edelin job. You'll see here too that I've got the totals going out where they can put in this up to 52 jobs. So even the biggest of our customers could be able to go in and utilize this. And then I have one more I want to show you. And it's going to work pretty much the same way. I'm going to click on this K. Edelin, so I'm making sure I'm doing this at the end. I'm going to add a job. I've got one more live storage file here. This one's a straight garage job, but I can just show you one more time on how to go through all this. This one just has one room, so it's going to be easier. Export this to the XML file. I am going to copy, come back to my inventory worksheet. I'm in this, I've got making sure my columns are all the same. Somehow I lost that copy, paste special. So now these are all the parts for the job. I can come back to the order. Ginger beer parts list. I am going to copy back to my inventory worksheet. Paste special and highlight those, and I've got the same number of columns, and then sort it from A to Z, and I should have all of those worked out right. Kind of trust my system now. I'm going to copy and paste that over. This is ginger beard. I'm going to grab those that same area, and I don't really care how far over it goes. I'm just making sure that if I ever had to do anything different in the future, I'm making these columns as big as possible, this field as big as possible, and this is G. Once again, go back to my allocated. It added the column. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to select that cell. And I am making sure that I'm setting the tab key to make sure I have those formulas coming up right when their name shows up on there. I obviously didn't do this on the other one, so I can go in and CHI-LLC should do the same thing. But this one, I can just do these at the same time. Just added those columns, copy both of those across, and double click where it's LBAX and type KEDE. There, tab key, return, and it's doing the whole thing. This is working in the column ginger beard, so GB tab, and now I have all of those set in there. I go back to my inventory, and if I do this same thing, filter on does not equal, keep that the same. Now you can see, because we've added more items, we've increased the fields we're working on. The last thing I could do is come back in and, I know I have some dowels in there, 1010 dot. I'm going to cheat, copy and paste that number. I go back to my physical and I paste that value in there. It's showing now that, I've got dowels, and let's say I have 150 of those. Now when I go back to my inventory, and you can see that I've got 150 allocated, I've 150 physical, 340 allocated, 1,000 on order. I have free stock of 810. So as soon as they go through and put their physical inventory, now we'd be ready to just take these numbers, open up live storage, and we can go to our inventory tool and make sure that I don't have anything in pending. I want to delete any orders in pending, and I want to delete any inventory I have here, so I can just go from the top to the bottom and just start deleting SKUs. And there's a ton in this, but I want to delete those SKUs before I ever go back in and enter in the new stuff. Once that's all set to 0, you just use the Add SKU button here, type in the part number, put the quantity in, hit OK, and you're set up. So really, that's what it is. I just showed you how to do this in about 30 minutes, how to enter 3 orders in and do this system. You just continue through adding these orders until you have all the orders in, and then do your physical inventory and then enter it back in. So this whole process took AGD, which they had 800 items, I think, in their inventory. It took me about 4 days to actually do all this work. But a lot of that was me figuring out how to go in and do the spreadsheet. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to give me a shout out. I hope this works for you. Talk to you later. Bye.